what you need to know if you want to get started in the hobby of model railways. Hi, this is Marlin at Hearns Hobbies here in Melbourne, and I want to talk today about what you need to know if you want to get started in the hobby of model railways. So this is just meant to be a model railways 101 kind of guide. So you've just decided that you want to get into model trains and you don't quite know where to start. So I'll walk you through the basics that you need to know to help you select the right thing for your needs. Basically, there's three things you need. Obviously, you need the track to run the trains, you need a power supply to deliver power to the track, and then you need the trains to run it on. So fundamentally, those are the three things that you need in order to have an active model railway with trains running around. Now, the easiest and possibly the most economical way to do it is to buy what is called a set or a starter set. And I've just got a few examples here that are quite popular. This is the Flying Scotsman set by Hornby. This is in Double O gauge, which is one of the most predominant gauges, and it's the predominant gauge for British model trains like the Flying Scotsman itself. So basically, this set includes everything that you need to start a model railway. So you have, I'll turn this around. Actually, no, the picture's right here on the front, but you get the train with the carriages, and then there's also the track that you need, and then you have your power supply and your controller and everything that you need to wire the track up. So this is everything included in one box, and if you're just new to the hobby, this is possibly the best way to get started. If you're a little bit overwhelmed by all of the information out there, the great thing about starter sets is that they're designed to be expanded upon. So yeah, you do start with a small oval with a little siding, but the idea is that as you progress through the hobby, you can build this up and you can enlarge it, or you can essentially you have creative freedom to make this into whatever you like. But as you get started with the set, you will have everything in the box to get it all going. Another example that's also presented in the same way is this little N gauge or N scale set by Kato, a Japanese company who makes really nice quality N gauge trains predominantly. And this is approximately half the size of Double O gauge, so it takes up a lot less space. So that's something that you might want to bear in mind when you're building your model railway is the amount of space you have. And again, this comes with your oval of track, locomotive and carriages, power supply, and everything you need to hook that up. So that is the easiest and most economical way to get started with model railways, because you can go ahead and then expand on everything that you get in the set. If you've decided that you want to go a different approach, and maybe you want to model a particular railway or locomotive that you can't find in a set, or if you're a more advanced modeler who wants something a bit more detailed and intricate, then you can go ahead and buy everything that you need separately, and I'll sort of walk you through what you need to be able to do that. And the easiest thing that you can do is buy like a track set. This is a starter track set by Pico in Double O gauge, just like the Flying Scotsman. Double O or HO, which share the same gauge, and we have a video about tracks that you could watch to sort of give you more detail about that. This is designed to create a basic oval, and you have two turnouts to create sidings in any one of these configurations, or you could even just build this as like a small, simple circular loop. This includes just track, so you would need to get a power supply in order to power this for your trains, and we will get into that in a little moment. Another thing that you could do is, back in N gauge by Kato again, is they have a starter track set that comes included with a power pack and everything that you need to hook that up. So from this point forward, you would only just need to buy the appropriate trains and carriages to run on it. So this is basically a train set minus the train itself, essentially. All right, so we'll look at powering your layout. So if you've decided that you want to go the route of procuring everything that you need to do it yourself, you've got to look into how you want to power it. And the most common way is a analog or DC, direct current power pack. This is one by Gauge Master, and when we mean DC, it just means that you have a simple throttle control, and this increases or decreases the voltage being sent to the track, which in turn increases or decreases the train speed. Fundamentally quite simple. You just have your throttle for, slow to fast, and then a directional switch for forward and reverse. And this is the most economical option for getting started with model trains if you want to buy your own power pack. There's a lot of different options out there as far as analog systems go. This is a particularly good one by Gauge Master, made in the UK. So that's the one that I would recommend. If you want to get more sophisticated and if you have a much larger budget, you could go with digital command control or DCC. This basically will allow you to operate multiple trains at once with a single controller. Fundamentally, how it works is quite different, and that constant voltage is always being sent to the track, and a little chip inside the locomotive will communicate with signals being sent through the rails to the locomotive from this controller. Again, it's quite a big step up in terms of complexity and cost over analog, and generally isn't the direction that I would recommend for an absolute beginner unless they're sure that's the decision that they want to make. And then going back to track, so we did do a video about track, but we'll talk about when you're buying your train set or when you are hoping to piece together a model railway for yourself. Not only do you have to think about the kind of gauge that you want to do, but also the kind of track that you want to use. The track that's included in the set, for example, might not necessarily be compatible with all other tracks that are available, or at least not straight out of the box. Like, for example, if you were to buy a Kato set, that would be directly compatible with add-on Kato track pieces. And if you were to buy something from Pico, they also produce their own. There are pieces that will allow you to connect the different parts of track together from different brands. There are definitely options that exist for that. But and then having the power go to the track as well is something that you'll need to think about if you're doing this without a set. If you're just doing it yourself, these are power rail joiners. So the rail joiners are the small parts that are at the ends of the rails on either side. And then they have a wire soldered to them, a negative and a positive line. So you'll have to put one on either side. And then that will get connected to the controller itself. And that's what sends the power to the track. And then this just goes into the wall. And then this is for double O HO gauge. And then there's smaller ones designed for N, which would be appropriate for this track. There's also other types of connectors. These fit under the rails and you attach wires to these, and then those wires get attached to the power pack. And that is the essentials of what you need to get a model railway rolling. And that's with having your track, your power supply, and your trains. A few things that you probably want to think about before you get started and go ahead and purchase something is think about the kind of scale you want to go in, because that might determine how much space you have to work with. If you don't have a lot of space, maybe consider a smaller scale like N gauge or 009 narrow gauge. If you have a lot more space, maybe something like double O or HO. And think about the kind of prototype that you want to model. If you have one in mind, do you want to model Australian? Do you want to model European or British? Because the kind of market that you choose to go with, they might have more things available in one scale over another. So yeah, have a good think about things like that. Think about the kind of track you want to use. But that's basically just an overview of what you need to know to get started with model railways.